Hello. Welcome to Soul Good. Thank you so very much for being here. It's a blessing and pleasure to be here with you. Please know if you found this video, you've clicked on it, however you may have found it or whenever you may have found it, please trust that there is something here for you. I want to start off by saying I was getting this message as I was shuffling. And it was coming in almost like a song, and I was actually singing this over and over and over. So the message is this, and the reason I'm sharing it is in the way that it came through is because it might mean something to someone else that I just am not privy to. Like, I just don't know. So the way that it was coming through, and forgive me, but it's change is coming, change is coming. I don't know if that is from a song, like a song I've never heard. I don't know if that's something that someone would sing to someone else. I don't know how that's relevant. Certainly change is coming. Again, just a reminder, regardless of when you're watching this, there is likely to be something here for you. I trust that. I believe that. But this is being recorded on the cusp of Pluto entering into Aquarius. So it truly is the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. So the change is coming goes without saying. But again, the reason I delivered it and the way it came through is because it might be meaningful to someone else. So let's get into the cards and see what would like to come through. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, what does anyone watching, anyone who may be seeing this video, what do they need to know, please? What message needs to be shared for whoever's watching? I keep hearing it. Change is coming. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So let's start here. We have here first Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. We also have Imrama. Where are you being called to journey to? And wow, transformation. Things are changing at a cellular level. Deep healing. Okay. I certainly feel as though there have been a lot of things changing, shifting, transforming in your life. And I feel like this has probably been really, really hard. It feels to me as though this has really, what is it again, please? Thank you. I feel like it's really pushed you to your limits. Okay? I feel like it has really pushed you right to the edge. But the interesting thing about that is, of course, Holy Spirit, God, Christ, whatever, universe, whatever you call it, I call it God. I'm not afraid to call it God or Christ. That is what I call it. So feel free to insert whatever word works for you. But I feel as though you have not been doing this alone. And I feel like there are some of you out there who would actually go so far as to say, I could not have done this, or I would not be able to make it through this without that divine support, without that help. And I feel like this is taking you to new levels of yourself. I actually feel as though it's likely that you have discovered new levels of yourself, new levels of self-love, new levels of reverence for the divine. I feel as though this is not about new levels in an external way. This is not about climbing a career ladder. This is not about expanding your wealth or your possessions. None of that. I feel as though whatever's been going on for you, whoever I'm speaking to, I feel as though this, or rather what you have been going through in your more recent past, which PS, recent can mean anything, okay? It can mean literally 5 days ago, 5 years ago, however that looks for you. I feel as though in your more recent past, you have been pushed to your limits. You have been pushed to your breaking points. And that hasn't been to punish you. It hasn't been to try to wear you down or none of that. And I feel as though this has been to create massive change from the inside out. You may have experienced people, relationships, jobs, living situations. You could have experienced a lot of external pleasures, a lot of external things in your life falling away. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I feel as though it has brought many to the edge, which is why there's such a strong feeling of there's no way that I could do this on my own without some higher force, without some higher power, i.e. God, rooting me down, anchoring me. There's no way without faith could I have done this. For some of you, I feel like this has truly strengthened a relationship with God, with Christ, with the angels. Again, whatever it is for you. Let's see what else we have. Tell us more, please. Thank you. So we also have here energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle, Anunnaki light codes. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is closing out a massive cycle for some of you. I feel like some of you, this has been years. I'm talking like for some 10 plus years for some of you in the making. This has been something that has been being built upon for a very long time, this shift. For some of you, you may resonate with being called like the black sheep, the curse breaker, the outsider, the outcast, things like this. You may have experienced a lot of isolation, loneliness. You may have felt abandoned or rejected. You could have a lot to do with throat chakra as well, because I was getting kind of like it's almost like my words want to get stuck. So I feel like that could be something that's been going on as well. We also have serious star blessings. Yes, proceed, be seen, push through, a fear of being seen for some of you as well. And perhaps this journey inward, this deep dive into self, and this development of this deep self-love that I feel like has been being worked upon for some time now. I feel as though for some of you, it has been in order to position you to be seen. And I can feel the energy retracting. I feel like some of you are like, oh, no. And that's the wild part, right? That is where I feel like Spirit is taking you to the edge. It's like, no, this is the point. This is the point. It's to push you outside of that comfort zone, to put you in a position that you are supposed to be in. There's a feeling of, and you may resonate with this as well for some of you, there's almost a feeling of being hidden or cloaked for a long, I think my light was just doing something strange. That was wild. But you may have felt cloaked or hidden for some time. And I feel like that was intentional. Okay. Even if I'm not saying you were just in pure isolation for like your whole life. But I feel like you probably have experienced big kind of chunks of isolation. And I feel like that has been in order to prepare you. And here's the thing. I feel like there are those who have this fear of being seen. And that, again, it's intentional, because the position that I feel like you've been being prepared for is one where you are not supposed to be this like, oh, gimme all the attention. I feel like it's not about having this spotlight on you. right? I feel like that's the point. I feel like it's something much larger than yourself. And that position, I feel, requires someone who is humble, someone who doesn't want all this clout and fame and glory, okay? Again, I feel like there are some of you who have really been developing a relationship with God, with Christ, and in that case, it's putting that first. It's putting God first. It's putting Christ first. God's will, Christ's will first. The point isn't for you to be seen. It's for Christ in you to be seen. Whoo, that just gave me chills. That's a big message for someone. That's a big message for someone. So, soul star activation, fulfilling soul contracts, remembering who you are. Yeah, absolutely. The whole point has been for you to remember who you are. And what I mean by that is yes, for you to develop your I, your capital I, your individuality, but also to remember Christ within you, to reconnect with Christ within you. And certainly this is not going to resonate with everyone, but I do feel like there are some out there where like this is for you. This is for you, and you will know. Again, I think part of this, for whoever's listening, whoever this is for, part of this is to be seen, but not to be seen for yourself. Because it's not about your glory. It's not about feeding your ego. That is lower, that is a lower drive. This is about putting Christ first, putting God, again, something much greater than yourself first, and allowing that to be seen. Which is where I feel like that whole, like, that whole kind of like retraction from, oh, I don't want to be seen, you know, pulling the energy back from that. I feel like that's where it comes from. I feel like that was placed within you for that reason, for you to not be like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, I. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. Let's see. What else do we need to know, please, for whoever's listening? Thank you. Yeah, this is that unity within, okay? Coming into union with self, coming into union with Christ within you, with God within you, okay? Developing this very beautiful, loving relationship built on reverence, built on unconditional love, built on communication between the higher self or Christ within. I feel like whoever this is for, essentially what's going on here, it's kind of like a love story in a way, between yourself and God, between yourself and the angels, between yourself and that which is greater than you. I feel like there's been this love story that's kind of been unfolding, and it's making me smile. Like the smile on my face is just ginormous. So I feel like this is what has been unfolding, and I feel like this has been years in the making. You may have even at some point been someone who's like didn't believe in God, wanted nothing to do with God. You may have, trigger warning, you may have experienced some kind of religious trauma or have some kind of wounding around religion, and you may have completely pulled yourself back from anything involving God or Christ or religion or any of that. So you may now, like, it could be a complete shock if you look back on your life to find yourself in this position now. But I feel like it's created something within you. It's like there's no going back. Like what you now know, what you now have felt, what you now have experienced, you can't just turn away from. Let's see, what else? What else do we need to know, please? That's way too many. What is happening? What else do we need to know, please? So another two, you may be seeing repeating twos. I feel like a lot of what you've been going through more recently has asked you to really lean into your intuition, to really lean into your faith, and to trust it fully. And I feel like that's been really hard. Surrender is so friggin' hard. It truly is. And so I feel like you may have found yourself at a crossroads, needing to make I mean, look at these two cards, you guys. I feel like you may have found yourself at this place where, yeah, you've been called to journey to different places, and you needing to make these decisions. Needing to make these decisions to move you forward, because I feel as though for some of you, again, there's this feeling of kind of having everything stripped away, which I've been getting a word about that I want to share. I just don't feel called to share it just yet. I may be missing a piece or something. But I feel as though you may have been going through an experience where a lot of things where it's felt as though a lot of things have been being stripped away from you. Okay. And it just like pulled out from underneath you. It's giving me Tower moment energies for sure, you know, drastic changes that have happened very quickly, unexpectedly. And I feel like it's positioning you to make decisions that are in alignment with that union you've created with your higher self, with that which is greater than you, with Christ. Okay. Like, I just feel as though it's really putting you in a position to move in that direction. But it is a hard decision to make, because I feel like this is, what is the word, please? Yes, thank you. Uncharted territory is what I'm getting. Uncharted territory. Because I feel like this, whatever you are walking into, or you feel as though you're walking into, I feel like there's this deep knowing that you've never been here before. Whatever that looks like. You've never done this before, you've never been here before, or it's asking something of you that has never been asked of you before. And I feel like that is really challenging, of course. And I feel like it's putting you in a position to really trust, to have this incredible faith in yourself and in God, in Christ, in the angels. Again, whatever works for you. I feel like it really is asking a lot of you. I think it's important to remember as well that you are not alone in this. You're not alone in this. I feel like if you lean into yourself in regards to making this decision, however challenging it may be, I feel as though the answer is there. I feel like because you're not doing it alone. You absolutely, anybody going through this right now, I don't care if it's 5 people who watch this video, 1 person, 500, 1,000, I don't care. Whoever is going through this right now, you are absolutely 120%, 1,000,000%, a billion, whatever, not doing this alone. You're not. You have tremendous support. And if you just tune in and trust your intuition, I feel as though the answer will be provided to you. Okay, let's see. Anything else, please? Okay, very well. We have the 7 of Swords, Mother of Wands, or Queen of Wands. This is a very interesting message for these 2 cards, but for some of you, this isn't going to be for everyone, of course, but for some of you, I feel like you have like a trick up your sleeve. Okay, I don't know who this is for. I feel like there's somebody who may be listening to this that would resonate with this, where you feel like it's like I'm too old. Like I'm too old to start over. I'm too old to pick a new path or change directions, or to, I don't know, fill in the blank, whatever that looks like for whomever this is for. And the message that I'm getting here is like, no, you have a trick up your sleeve yet. You have something within you yet that wants to come out, that wants to be shared. Again, that's probably for someone very specific. We also have the death card here in the reverse. So yeah, some of you are clinging, I feel like, to old patterns, behaviors, old life, old ways of being, old ways of thinking, mindsets, etc. I feel like it could be anything, of course, but I feel like it's like clinging to something. Things are wanting to shift and wanting to change, and there's something that is being held on to. Oh, and we have the Lovers also in the reverse. So that is speaking to, again, I feel as though there are these shifts, these changes that are happening, and you're being positioned to make decisions to head toward the new, to move toward a new beginning. But again, there's a sense of clinging onto old patterns, old behaviors, not allowing change to come in. And I'm going to say this with so much love, and maybe I should, trigger warning, but here's the thing. The planet, humanity, the cosmos, it's going to continue evolving with or without you. With or without you. The real question comes in when you have to ask yourself, how hard do I want to make this on myself? I'm being reminded of an astrology post I saw. Forgive me, I cannot for the life of me right now recall who it was or where it came from, but they were speaking of some of the houses in astrology, and I believe one was the 6th house, one was the 8th house, and one was the 12th house. And I can't remember which, you guys forgive me, I wish I had it in front of me. But it was like change or die, let go or be dragged. And this is the vibe it's giving me. Okay? It's like, how hard do you want to make this transition, this change, this shift? Like, how hard do you want it to be on yourself? Because it's going, like, things are going to keep moving forward with or without you. And the tighter you cling, the more you hold on to the old paradigms, the old stories, the old life, the harder it is going to be. It is truly creating your own suffering. So I feel as though this is your sign. Like, if you are somebody who has been feeling this pull away from your quote unquote old life, okay? If all of these things have been falling away and trying to fall away around you, and you are clinging tightly, this is your sign, I feel. I also feel like this death in the reverse with the Lovers here, I also feel like there's something coming through where you're being asked to move away from, let me rephrase. I feel like you're being asked to shift your focus from the external to the internal. Because I feel like for some of you, what is holding you back? What has prevented you from taking that step, that leap of faith, right? Because like I said, we've been brought right to the edge. And I feel like the thing that has held you back from taking the leap has been this more external world and its influences on you. So this could be, you know, your family, your circle, your job, like whatever traditions and standards and status quos and whatever that you've adhered to. Okay, I feel like that plays a role, which is interesting because you would think that maybe the Hierophant would show up here, perhaps, but it's coming through in a way like this is what is creating this challenge, or this is what is putting this block up, and has one feeling very indecisive, very, I don't know what to do. I don't, you know, I feel like that external world is what is putting you in this position where it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't, I feel really uncomfortable. Okay. So any last messages, please, for whoever's listening? Any last messages? Thank you. I'm hearing, is it right said Fred? You spin me right round. I'm actually hearing that. Yeah, I feel like it may have felt like you were on like a tilt-a-whirl or like a merry-go-round or the wheel of fortune, if you will, and have just been being taken for a ride. And I feel like the whole point was to spin you the right way. Like, I know. It's like, did we really have to go through that? And the answer is yeah. We have to. We have to do that, right? We have to grow through those things. Like the way that we evolve is through challenge, is through facing our fears, is through overcoming obstacles. So I feel as though like, yes, it did have to happen this way, right? It did have to feel like we were stuck in a friggin' hurricane in order for us to really come to this place where we're able to truly evolve, to truly grow, to truly move through things. I also feel like for some, I keep hearing over and over potential, sorry, again, please. Yeah, potential through pain or potential in pain. I feel as though this has been a lesson for some in that as well. Understanding that it is through pain, it is through endings, it is through challenge and obstacle that we find our true potential. That we meet our true potential. Without it, we would just stay the same. Okay, if we never experience challenges or obstacles, like, why would we need to change? If things were just great, we wouldn't need or feel the need to evolve. And so we have to have those catalysts, right? So we do have here the beaver. Yeah, I feel like this has been a lot of hard work. For some of you, I feel like this may have started as in the beginning, I was saying that some of you may resonate with being like a curse breaker or a black sheep type of energy. And I feel like for some, if you resonate with this in that regard, I feel as though this could have started out as a means for you to be better for your children, or better for those that will follow you, better for the people around you. I feel like it could have started as, you know, I just want to show up in the world differently than what has been presented to me. I want to show up differently than what I grew up in, right? And I feel like this has been a lot of hard work. Again, it may have started out that way, but I feel like it may have started out that way, and I feel as though even though that is still very relevant and still very important, I feel like it may have now shifted to wanting to not only do it for your sake and the sake of the generations that follow you, but also, you know, on behalf of God. I feel like the driving force is so much deeper and so much more significant and so much more meaningful than maybe it was when you first started. For example, in my own story, just to give you a little something, in my own story, it started out as like, oh, I don't want to be like that person. Okay. And it's over time developed and unfolded into something much greater than that. Right. So I feel like that that could resonate for some, but otherwise I feel like this is really speaking to the hard work that has been being put into your own healing, your own transformation, your own evolution, trying to remember who you are, really trying to get to a place in life where you feel more in alignment with your soul's true essence, with who you truly are. And I feel like it's been dark. I feel like there's been times where you've been incredibly alone, or have felt incredibly alone, where you felt like you've been in the dark, right? You may have even used the term dark night of the soul, or maybe you resonate with that term. Maybe you felt as though that's what you've been experiencing. And the deer in the out of balance position. Yeah, you know what? I feel like the deer's coming through as this, it feels very critical to me in this position. I feel as though whatever you've been going through, let me just say this, sweets, let me just say this, whatever you've been going through, please, for the love of God, do not let anybody try to tell you who you are. Okay? Because whoever I'm talking to, what you've been through, it has brought you to the edge. And I mean that. It has tested every bit of who you are from an internal place. I'm not talking like, oh, it tested your ability to physically climb a mountain. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about coming face to face with your demons. I'm talking about coming face to face with things that caused you tremendous pain and having to work through that and feel it and heal it. And I feel like there have been forces outside of yourself, people, energies outside of yourself that have been that have been projecting their own beliefs on you. And I feel like you may have been very critical of yourself as you've gone through this process, regardless of whether it's been 10 days, 10 years. I feel like there's been this very critical view of yourself. And I want to tell you, the way that this feels to me, what you have been working through, a vast majority of people will not do this work. They won't. Not in this lifetime, and perhaps not in others either. Okay? They won't do it because it is that hard. And you voluntarily offer yourself up to die and be reborn over and over and over and over again. And a vast majority of people at this point will not do it. They won't. They can't. And it is what it is. Like I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm not saying that to be judgmental. It just is what it is. Even in the Bible, the way is narrow. Not everybody can do this. So there's this energy of let people outside of you believe whatever they want. Okay? Because the forces that are working with you, the angels, God, Christ, the forces that are working with you know. And you know. I feel like that external criticism, even if they're not saying it out loud to your face, I feel like you feel it. Because you are in tune. Okay? To some degree, that you're able to pick up on the energies of others. So even if they're not saying it to your face, I feel like you've felt that criticism. And for some of you, I feel like it's flooded in. I feel like it's one of the things that may have been a, what would we call this? Yes, thank you. I feel like this could have been a focal point of some of the healing that you've been going through, is working through what are other people going to think? What are other people going to say? Again, with the Lovers coming out, that was the energy I was kind of picking up on as well, right? So I feel like between the beaver and the deer, the message is to be proud of yourself for the work that you've done. To not let criticism of what you've been able to overcome or criticism of what it's taken for you to do that, criticism of whatever's going on with you, I feel like it is lay that down, give it to God, let God deal with it. Okay? And allow yourself, I mean, maybe you want to pray about it, meditate on it, but allow yourself to let down or lay down. Allow yourself to lay down those criticisms, because no one but you and God, you and Christ, you and the angels, no one but you and those divine forces know what you've went through. And to allow someone who has no idea what they're talking about to come in and to try to tell you, I just feel like just leave them to their ignorance. Okay? Just leave them to their ignorance. Do not let them suck you in. Okay? You are meant for something much greater than what I think you even believe, or you would even allow yourself to imagine. Okay? And yeah, throat chakra stuff. I feel as though that may be very hard for some of you to admit to yourself, because I feel as though whatever you've experienced throughout your life, it has put you in this position where you are someone who may be very humble, or you don't really expect much. You don't really ask for a lot, right? I feel as though you may just feel kind of like, oh, it is what it is, or whatever. And so being put in this position where God may be elevating you, Christ may be elevating you to a new position, and maybe putting a bit of a spotlight on you, whether that is in your community, in your family, maybe it's on socials or the internet or YouTube or whatever, or in your job, or whatever the case may be. I feel like having a bit of a spotlight on you may make you very uncomfortable. But I feel like everything that's been unfolding has been to position you in that way. And I feel like there's something very special within you that is waiting to be shared. Something that only you can provide. And I feel as like, if you look here at the Mother of Wands, she's sitting on these eggs. I feel like this is very similar to, and just like the Seven of Swords as well, right? Both the fox and the snake are kind of sitting on top of things, right? It's like you have these things available to you. They've always been there. It's just a matter of bringing them out and sharing them. And I feel like this is the huge transition that you may be going through at this time. And I feel like you're being asked to keep going. I feel like you're being asked to trust yourself. I feel like you're being asked to trust the relationship that you have cultivated with your higher self, with the divine forces, angels, Christ, etc. I feel like you're being asked to allow that to lead the way. And to let yourself be seen. Wow, this is pretty big. This is pretty big for those of you who are listening. I can't wait to see what you do. I can't wait to see what you do. Let's see, what do we have? Before we close out, let's look at the bottom of the decks. Yeah, Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Absolutely. This has been the work that has been going on for some of you for years. You've been working to release yourselves from this, right? And this comes up twice, by the way, okay? We have fulfilling soul contracts here with this card, and now again, releasing soul patterns, contracts, past lives. So absolutely letting go of these things, coming out of these things again, part of this I feel like is intentional. It's divinely orchestrated for you to be cloaked or hidden, or to be kind of maybe stuck in these patterns. And it has, all that has been happening has been preparing you to be released, or to fulfill these contracts at this time, to come out the other side at this time, because this is like prime time for you to be seen, right? Like, had it happened at any other point, had you come to these realizations at any other point prior, I feel as though if you would have went out into the world and tried to do the job, that the position that God has given you, I feel as though it wouldn't have worked because nothing else was aligned. So it had to unfold this way. It had to unfold this way. We have memories of Atlantis, spiritual acceleration, progress, technology. Pretty wild, considering that according to the work of Rudolf Steiner, G.G. Jung, we are in a recapitulation of Atlantean times currently. So that's just pretty wild in itself. But spiritual acceleration, progress, I feel as though, again, if it would have happened at any other time, it wouldn't have worked. But now that things are aligned and you've done the work throughout this time, okay, maybe it took you a while to get started. Maybe you fell off the wagon a few times, right? Maybe you tripped and stumbled. Maybe you had a long night and took a detour, whatever the story is, it had to unfold the way it had to unfold the way it did in order to put you in this position, so that now it's like you can jump in and it's like, the way I'm seeing it is jumping into a flowing river, right? It's like you've arrived just at this point where the river is now flowing. Maybe it was dammed up before, right? Maybe it wasn't flowing. Maybe it couldn't go anywhere. But now you've arrived right at the time where it's now flowing. And all you have to do is jump in and let the current carry you. That's what this feels like. Because I feel like once you make this decision, once you make the decision, once you decide you're all in, even if you're scared out of your mind, even if you're like, oh, I don't know, I feel like it is going to carry you. It is going to take you places you never imagined, I feel, would be possible. We have the 5 of Cups in the reverse. This is a very interesting energy because I feel like there's a sense of, I feel like you've left things behind. Okay. Like you've moved on. I feel like you've been grieving, different parts of your life that are no longer part of who you are, right? Like you've outgrown them. You transmuted them. You've moved past them. But this feels almost to me like there could be an energy around you that's like misery loves company. Like it's almost like I feel like it's just be mindful of those energies that expect you to be something you no longer are, right? So let's say perhaps you were once you played very small and you were very timid and you were very, just kind of passive and things like this, or maybe you just were living in a very small way. I feel like there could be people around you or energies around you that almost want you to stay that way, and it's like, no, I've moved beyond that. So I feel like, be mindful of those who love misery, who want you to be miserable, who would, I just feel like you've moved beyond these things, right? Where like, I feel like there's this loop, again, talking here, there's this loop that I feel like you were in at one point where it was like, just kind of, and forgive me for saying it this way, but this is how it's coming through. It's like crying over spilt milk, right? Like, I just feel like for some, you may have been kind of stuck in this grieving process, or this less than somehow. This I've lost, right? Yeah. Okay. I feel like for some of you, you may have been sitting in this, like, I don't have anything, right? Like I've lost all of this stuff. But I feel like you're coming out of that. And I feel like this is to remind you to not allow others to kind of drag you back into that space where it's like, I expect you to be the same and respond the same and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but we're not that anymore. Right? Whatever disappointments, whatever losses, whatever I experienced, that has all been for me because it doesn't serve me. And again, at one point you may have been grieving that, but I feel like you've been moving beyond that at this point. You've changed 5. So it's like, please don't allow yourself to be dragged back in to these energies that simply don't serve you. Yeah, there's a tarantula, okay? This is a card of decision as well. So I just heard the ball is in your court. Thank you, Lord. Like, the ball is in your court. And the decision that you're being asked to make is, or rather, the path you are being asked to choose is the one that aligns with your purpose, with your dharma, with what lights your soul on fire. And I feel like for some of you, maybe you aren't fully aware of what this is just yet. Maybe there's more of that internal journey to be had. But I feel like there are others of you, like, you know what this is. I just feel like there's that fear because of old structures, old belief systems. Yeah, I'm getting fear. Pardon me. So I definitely feel like, the ball is in your court and you have a decision to make. But make the decision keeping in mind that there is no going back. Like, we can't go back to the past. Okay? Things will never be the same. You can't go back to the old way. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unlearn what you've learned. You can ignore it. You can deny it. You can lie to yourself about it. But you can't go back. You can't erase it. You can't, okay? So keeping in mind that the only way is forward, it's time, I feel, to make a decision. And I pray that you make the one that is best for you, that aligns with your heart and your soul, that you can feel good about, truly good about, from your head to your feet, inside out, every which way that you feel good about and aligns with you. I hope and pray that you make that decision. Take care of your growing, beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you in our next chat.